Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up loud. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's hump day. One of Roland's favorite days of the week. What's going on, all you scallywags, nutmeggers, all across the fruited plain? Holla at your boy. You know who it is, your friend and mine. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. Always a pleasure to be here. The boy has left. He is on a plane going, come on, applause, where are you? There you go. He's on a jet plane. Don't know when he'll be back again, but he'll be in Connecticut the next time around. So you'll get to hang out with him there. He has gone back to his girlfriend and his little itty-bitty job at IHOP. And that's rude. I shouldn't say that. Calling it an itty-bitty job, that's so mean-spirited. Don't do that to your kids. Don't call it a little job. Don't do that. I used to get mad when people used to say it to me. You know, you got your little job. It's so demeaning. Don't do that. Now I'm doing it and I have to correct myself. It's been an interesting couple of weeks with him. He made some new friends, the kids across the street. And now I feel bad because we're ready to move and he won't be able to see them for at least another, 2 years. So that's, it's sad, but it's bittersweet. I'm glad they got along. They had a really, really good time together yesterday. They went to the mall, as kids do. It was nice to see them do, teenage stuff. They came back, and this was crazy, but the boy came home yesterday, and he was excited to show me a vinyl album. He was like, hey, look what I got. And his favorite rapper is this guy, MF Doom, who just passed away not too long ago. I knew him. The rapper known as MF Doom, we used to go by name of KMD back when I was a kid. He was with a group called Third Base with their first single, Gas Face. Yes, I'm telling some stuff, but a lot of you out there, you remember everything I'm telling you about right now. And he changed his name to MF Doom, and he had all of these independent albums, and he passed away a couple of years ago. And to see the 18-year-old boy into somebody who's from my era was an interesting thing. And then to come home with a vinyl and him reading the back of it, as we were just talking about the other day. It's nice to know that has not left us as a psyche, right? Like who we are. It's a beautiful thing, and it's a brilliant thing that just expands beyond generation. So that was it was heartwarming to see that. So in one way, I'm sad to see him go because I like his company. He's fun. He's great to debate with as a young, mind of mush, calling himself a socialist. It's hilarious. But it's nice to debate with him. He actually owned me on one topic, which one day I will reveal as soon as I can get over the embarrassment. But now he's gone. And like I said, it's bittersweet because he's gone. So I don't get to have that exchange with him. It's like, having a young kid in the house, bantering back and forth, a teenager. But I also get my own bathroom back. I can't tell you enough what it was like to share a bathroom with that woman I'm married to. She said to me when she was going to take him to the airport, she goes, you have one job today. Your job is to move the hell out of my bathroom. And, of course, I didn't do it. So when she just got back home, she made me do it before the show. So, yes, all of my stuff is out of her bathroom. And I'm back in my own bathroom, which is the general bathroom. What'd you say? Thank God. Yeah, she's screaming, thank God, to me right now. Anyway, I have to talk about something. And my wife was having an issue yesterday that made me think of today's monologue. And having dealt with this, it was what really inspired it. Because you ever have somebody in your life that just nitpicks at you? And for the ladies out there, and maybe even for some of the men, you have an ex-wife that you still have to deal with because there are kids involved, and they still find this incessant need to pick at you about stuff and behave in a certain way that doesn't make sense. Well, my wife was going through that with her ex-husband, the boy's father. And it was really eating at her because this text exchange that they were having was really ticking her off. And my response to it was, why are you upset? He has no significance in your life at all. The boy's 18 years old. In no way what he has to say should even affect you or infect you in any way. And as she was telling me about what the exchange was, I kept saying to myself, well, it seems like he's injecting himself into a discussion that has nothing to do with him. And then I thought about it. That's kind of the place where we are everywhere right now. I just noticed it in a post that I put yesterday. I took yesterday's monologue, I spliced it up, and I posted it yesterday. Craig Fishbein, Representative Craig Fishbein, even reposted it today on X about Governor Lamont standing there talking about health care for illegals while you got a bunch of, women with type 2 diabetes surrounding him. And I get this message from, of course, you know whom, where he's upset that I had the audacity to express my opinion, which is always the case. But let's listen to this. This is the most important thing to recognize. What did we see immediately after the death of Charlie Kirk? We even saw it before that with even Donald Trump talking about anything, talking about how wrong it was for Colin Kaepernick to take a knee during the national anthem. And everyone in the world had to chime in. But before I get there, I want to go back. I remember a day when if you were an environmentalist, you recycled. And you just recycled. There was a time when you cared about the whales and you went out and protested whale killing. I remember a time when Mothers Against Drunk Driving did everything they could to bring awareness, but they didn't stop off at every bar telling you not to drink and drive. They just brought awareness, but they minded their own damn business. Whatever it was that they supported, they supported. Hey, I don't like the fossil fuel industry. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy a Prius. And you did that, and you drove your Prius. The rest of us, we would give you the middle finger as you drove by us, but whatever. The bottom line was you were doing your part. What about the AIDS epidemic? What did you all do? You wore the AMFAR pin. And then something happened. It happened in a Seinfeld episode to show you exactly what was happening. You all remember the episode. Kramer was in the AIDS walk, doing his civic duty, supporting a cure for AIDS. And he said, no, I don't want to wear the pin. And the episode was emblematic of where we were as a society. He doesn't want to wear the pin. Hey, you see that guy? Hey, Joe, he doesn't want to wear the pin. Who doesn't want to wear the pin? And then all of us had to. It went from a personal expression of who you are to telling everybody else what they had to do. Vegetarians, it wasn't enough for them to not eat meat. You can't eat meat. People who didn't smoke cigarettes, it wasn't enough for them not to smoke. It was you can't smoke either, here, there, or everywhere. Outside dining. Couldn't smoke a cigarette outside in the dining room. They didn't want you to smoke inside. Can I smoke outside? No, you can't smoke around this 2-foot fence area that's still outside. Hey, but the place isn't enclosed. Yes, but it's a no smoking outside area. It got ridiculous. It's always been ridiculous. And it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Now, let's bring it back forward to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is murdered in front of thousands. And a bunch of nobodies took it upon themselves to talk about Charlie Kirk, what he stood for and what he said, and made it about them. Do you remember the Newtown woman? What's her name? Danielle Slaughter-Lozer. She made it about her. And how did she make it about her? When Charlie Kirk was talking about Michelle Obama, Ketanji Brown Jackson, and Kamala Harris, Slaughter said, he was talking about my mama. He don't know your mama. I don't know your mama. We don't know your mama. We don't care about your mama. But you had to make it about her, which is in essence what it's always been about. You folks having to inject yourself into things you don't need to. And what it's all about is real simple. It is an acknowledgement of your insignificance. Because, see, as I said before, when you just used to do the thing that you supported, buy the Prius, wear the pin, that wasn't enough. Someone gave you the idea that you were more important, or you should be more important than you already are, not accepting the fact that you may be insignificant in all of this. And because of your incessant need to be seen or to make the tragedy about you, you start changing the headings on your social media page. I stand with France. I stand with, I don't know, whatever cause it is. You started changing your, and I remember what's his name? The comedian Jeselnik. Is that his name? Andrew Jeselnik, I think that's the name of the comedian. He has a comedy special called Thoughts and Prayers. I love that piece because, by the way, he's absolutely funny. But at the end, he's talking about thoughts and prayers when people were changing their Facebook pages and their social media pages to talk about or to express their particular feelings about whatever's going on in the world. And he makes a very, very good analogy or a dissertation of that problem that's going on in our society. And that is what you're really saying when you say, I stand with this or I stand with that, is you're saying, don't forget about me. I'm here. Don't you see me? And that's all it is. It's finding tragedy or some issue and trying to get notoriety for yourself about it. But when the real chips are on the line, when the real rubber meets the road, you're nowhere to be found. That's what Wacky Whitey was about yesterday. Here's a woman, D'Angelo, who's made a career out of telling everybody else how it is they should live when it comes to racism and systemic racism in the country. But when the rubber met the road, when she actually had to pay reparations, she didn't know what to do with herself. When she was told, hey, put your money where your mouth is, she seemed confused about it. And that's the rest of these folks. When they come on a page and like, this is twisted logic. This makes no sense. What's he talking about? Well, if you don't understand it, leave it alone. If you don't like what you're hearing, walk away. But you can't. Deep down, what you need is to make it about you. You are looking at something, finding your outrage. Well, I don't think I like this. I'm going to make this an issue for me. How dare you? I'm offended. So what? Who were you? Nobody. Now, if that hurts a lot of people's feelings, the only thing I can say to you is, so what? Who cares? That's something you'll have to deal with your sponsor or therapist or close friend you tell your intimate secrets to. I don't really care about people coming onto my page and being outraged by something I say. I really don't care. Your incessant need to be relevant means nothing to me. Nothing. And you whining and crying about it or getting offended when you're called a whiner for it, when you start losing your ish because somebody called you a whiner, I know what the problem is. You don't like being diagnosed. Stop whining. If you really want to change the world, do the thing you were doing before. Acting, not screaming. Doers do. Whiners whine. We've become a society of a bunch of people who just want to run their jibs, feign some sort of outrage, change their Facebook posts, but they don't ever get out on the road and put the rubber to it. That's what I do here. So yes, my opening monologues, long-winded, and in some cases, kind of whiny. But the bottom line is, no one will ever accuse me of not putting my money where my mouth is. My feet always touch the road, and I always put the skin in the game that's necessary. Perhaps you should follow by example. Because again, I wouldn't ask you to do something I'm not willing to do myself. So get out of here, scram, go out there and make some changes. Do a little more than putting a ribbon on your lapel. Go get dirty. We'll be back. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. I wanted to ask this question, and the number has jumbled all over the place. So throughout the show, when you can call in or you can get on the chat room, please do. Because I don't need the number now, but if you know the number, think about that number with what I'm about to say. How many illegals came into the country under the Biden administration based upon numbers that were, I don't know, by whomever gives those numbers, be it the Department of Homeland Security, whatever the case may be? What were the numbers? Some people have said it was 10 million. Some people have said it's been as many as 20 million. And again, we're talking about in 4 years' time. I started to think about this because I was watching this video by this kid. I think his name is Nate Friedman. And I want to go over a couple of things that you and I all saw in real time. We saw people coming across the border. They were considered parolees. A lot of them stayed in Texas, but many of them were shipped off to dozens of different places. At one point, there were only two places everyone was going: Chicago and New York City. By the hundreds of thousands, they were going to those two destinations. But we know they went to other places. They went to Portland, Oregon. They went to Washington State. We know they went to Denver, Colorado, and other parts of Denver. We know they also went to Florida. We know that the Biden administration was flying them from their home countries into places like Westchester, New York, in the middle of the night, early morning, 2, 3 a.m. flights. When the New York Post caught them and other people caught them on camera, they caught them on, they said, no, we're not supposed to tell. No, nobody knows we're doing this. But at last count, I remember it being somewhere in between 10, 12 million, maybe even 20 million. Now, for those of you who do have the number and you get it to me, or even if you call in and tell me the number, it's not important that we know it now. I want you to think about that number like a magic trick. Now I want you to think about this. Who are the bozos that are telling us that these folks are paying into the system? Who are the people telling us that those folks are providing tax dollars to the system? How can both be true? They just got here. And when they did get here in Chicago, they were working their butt off to get these folks jobs. In fact, you might even remember that the Biden administration was telling a lot of folks that the job numbers that they were giving, right, the job numbers that we were giving, that we now know were bupkis, 800,000, 1.5 million, all gone, zero. Not even credible numbers. No credible numbers of those people. And remember, the illegals came in within the last 4 to 5 years. How could they have possibly been contributing to the tax revenue in the country? We were putting them up in hotels. They were staying in some of these camps. They were putting up tent cities for them in Randall Park. They were housing them in hotels all over the place, in plush hotels, providing them with food and far more. Weren't they? How could these folks be contributing to the taxes of this country? It's impossible. And we know for a fact that these folks were getting Medicare because this guy, Nate Friedman, this kid, he asked them. He asked all of them. Now, this is going to be horrible because I'm trying to translate this, so you're going to hear my voice as the translator on this video he did not too long ago. Listen.
I know that FEMA was giving hundreds of millions of dollars to the Roosevelt and other migrant shelters. Are you feeling cared for in the shelter?
We have Medicaid, for example. They also give you food, personal items, the basics, the usual. Basic items they always give you at the hotels.
Did you have to pay to have your child here in America?
No. Everything was free.
Did you guys get any medical assistance in the shelter? Did they provide it?
To the babies. Yes, the babies. Yes, they did give me that card. That was blue and yellow.
Oh, they received Medicare.
Medicaid.
Are you getting child care inside of the shelter? Do they help you take care of the child?
Yes, the food, and also they give her some diapers. Thank God they helped me get medical insurance, and most importantly, they have helped me to get my ID card. They helped me obtain asylum. How exactly are these folks paying into the system? They've had everything provided to them by the taxpayer. In the millions, folks. Millions. What are they contributing? Nothing. Who says that they are? They told us that these folks were paying rent, taxes there. They're also talking about sales tax. But they said that these folks were also contributing actual tax money through ITIN numbers. But we know they all didn't have jobs. They couldn't have. We know those job numbers are nonsense now. They are nonsense now. All those job numbers that we used to get during, remember that? That was the reason why this labor official was fired. Everybody lost their minds about, but then they actually saw the numbers were bupkis. So everything that we were told and everything that we constantly get told about their contributions, well, they pay taxes too. How? How? All of them at the same time? The New York Post, Lori writes, had estimated 7.2 million during Biden. I don't trust any numbers because they claimed Obama deported that much, right? But that's because they fudged the reporting process. Jason says it was 18 to 20 million according to his number. But again, you're telling me that 18 to 20 million jobs were filled and the Biden administration didn't count that? I mean, they lied about everything. Why didn't they just tell us that? They should have told us that. Yeah, because of the illegals, we got 18 to 20 million people hired. But no, the numbers that they were both bragging about was just under 1 million. In some cases, a little bit more than a million. Now they're all gone. Turns out those jobs vanished into thin air because they never existed. So who's trying to convince me that they're contributing? Who's going to do it now? I'm dying to hear from them. Because I had plenty of people calling up here saying, but. It doesn't make sense. They're telling you that everything that they have is being provided for. FEMA money, their WIC what's the name, checks. And don't forget the EBT cards that they were getting with some $13,000, $14,000 to $16,000 on them once they got them. Giving them rent vouchers. I mean, were they counting these folks' contribution to rent tax out of taxpayer money? It was just a circular sort of movement of money? Somebody's got to explain that to me. They don't contribute anything. That conversation is done. Dunzo. Nada. You can't have all of those people come in here and all of a sudden, nothing makes sense. And I thought about that today, and I was watching that video and just going, yeah, what does that mean that they were contributing? No, we lost money, folks. Oh, and then there's the real number. The number that really makes all the sense in the world. The national debt. You would think with the influx of all of these people into the country who were contributing to the tax revenue that we never had before. Remember, we're talking about a lethal injection of more workers who were clearly contributing to the tax burden in this country. Why did the national debt increase so viciously? Yeah, that reason. The one you're thinking of right now, the one you're yelling at the radio about. Yes, that's the reason. Let's take a few calls before we get up out of here with the commercials. Let's take John. Hello, John.
You've been on talking too much. I've been waiting 45 minutes for you.
John.
I want to raise a point with you. You're blabbing about taxes. What about education? They're ripping us off of education. We're the only country in the world that allows illegals, children, to come up to our states and get free education.
Hey, John, are you new here?
Real. No, I'm not new here.
Okay, so if you're not, John, stop talking. Stop talking.
Pardon me?
Stop talking for a second. You're not new here. So let me explain this to you. If you're not new here, you know that I don't take phone calls until the 4 o'clock hour.
Well, I don't call up regularly every week.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this the John show? Are we waiting? Are you just waiting for you to arrive?
Well, listen. You're a talk show host like Tom Shadquat.
No, sir. I'm a talk show host like Reese on the radio.
Yeah, I know. Reese on the radio.
Yeah. My name is not Tom anything. I'm not Uncle Tom. I'm not Tom Foolery. I'm not Tom and Jerry. I'm Reese on the radio.
Okay.
I'm not like anybody.
Okay. I'm saying you should be stressing education more than so-called tax revenue.
I never do what I'm told. I never do what I'm told, John. I never do what I'm told. I'm a grown-ass man.
You should. I'm not telling you to talk about.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you know what? Listen to me. Put in an application for my show producer, and then you can tell me what I should talk about on my show.
I have a good job, Tom. I don't have a problem.
My name's not Tom, sir.
But pardon me. I made a mistake. I want to discuss education in this country.
I think I'm talking about taxes right now, John.
Well, who built? Let me put this on you. Who rebuilt New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina?
The tax dollars.
No, that's a bunch of bull. You know and I know. Illegal Mexicans, plumbers, and things. Look it up.
So what?
Right.
So what?
What do you mean, so what? These private corporations.
What are you missing? What are you missing about so what? What are you missing, John? What are you missing about so what? Are you suggesting to tell me that if we didn't have illegals rebuilding that town, it would have never been rebuilt?
I doubt it.
No, I get your doubt. I get your doubt, but I haven't heard any confirmation from you. You want to give me some confirmation? You're saying that without illegals, we wouldn't even build houses. You're saying without illegals, we wouldn't even get our food on our plate, right? Are you a Hank John? Nobody would put the food on our table.
Hurricane Katrina. That's it.
Hurricane Katrina. What do you think? That's like we wouldn't have a country without the labor of illegals.
Let's look at the LA Olympics. Look at how much.
John, let's be 100% honest. You're advocating for slave labor, and you're saying we couldn't build.
I'm not advocating from that. I'm advocating that U.S. citizens should have got those jobs. Where?
Oh, well, that's what you should have said. John, I got to take a break. John, I got to take a break. I got to take a break, man. I got to take a break. Who are these people? Again, what the opening monologue. These entitled folks that just come in here. What you should be talking about, Reese, I'll tell you. I don't have my own radio show, and I know you work really, really hard for yours. But what you should talk about. We'll take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views. I'll take a couple more phone calls when we return. Stand by. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Hey, I want to give a nice shout out to Albert, who's in the chat room on ReeseOnTheRadio.com. Thank you, sir. Very, very kind of you to write that. And don't let it be your last time reaching out on the chat room. Anytime you want to opine, I want to hear your opinions. It's nice to hear everybody's. Even though I gave last guy a hard time, I don't like that. Just sort of like, this is what you should be talking about. I'm like, I put together a show. It takes me 5 hours to put together this show, getting audio sound bites, doing editing and all that other stuff, to then do another 4-hour show. It's 9 hours. 9 hours. And then tells me after I get on the air, this is what you should be talking about. What? I'm giving him hell for that. Just like, I put in a lot of work. Can you just do what I'm doing right now? Let's go to the calls real quick. Hey, Franny, how are you?
Oh, my gosh, that's me.
Yes, Franny. Hi.
Hi, but how did you know that my name was Franny?
Well, it shows up on the phone. If you may have called before, it sort of has its own, like, caller ID thing. Like, if you called before, it just remembers that. Computers, you know?
I guess I am caught. Oh, my gosh.
That's okay. What did you have?
I have wanted to talk to you ever since you started with TIC AM to tell you that, sometimes your words are rough and people don't want to hear what you have to say, but people need to hear what you have to say, because at the same time that you can be almost tutorial in a sense, the information that you so freely share is information that we have never been blessed in this area with this type of rapport. It is, we don't have to agree. It's up to us as to whether or not we agree with what you're saying.
Sure.
But the mere fact that you're saying it opens our ears and opens our minds and allows us to think and share. And it's a tough world out there, and it's great to have both sides of information and not just something that we may think is going on. We want to know things that we know are going on. And you're doing a wonderful job, and God bless you and God bless the station and the day that you started with TIC, because when I first heard your voice, I thought, this man better get a job on this show because we need him bad.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Franny. Not that they didn't try. They wanted desperately, but things had to fall into place. And, God's work is God's work, and I don't question it. I just adhere. So I totally appreciate that. That's very, very kind of you to say.
You're more than welcome, and I apologize for taking time away from your show to say this, but I felt that after listening to the previous call that this was a good time for me to call and say what I've wanted to say for a while.
Franny, that it means everything to me that you share it, and not just because you share it about me. It's you. I think you expressed, and it seems like you've been listening since I first joined when I was filling in, that you are expressing.
Oh, yeah.
You are expressing what my mission statement was, and that was, I don't want you to agree. I want you to think. That's all.
Wow. And that's exactly what you create. You create the environment for people's minds to do as they will and hopefully open up and take in some information and just be more wise and watchful.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, it's nothing wrong with being watchful. You know who said something interesting, and I was Josh with with Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center, I always tell him about the music that I didn't listen to that my mom enjoyed. And one of the groups is Parliament Funkadelic. And I got the opportunity to actually speak to George Clinton. And in his haze, because I think that he may have been under the influence at the time, but he said something that's lasted with me.
They all?
Yeah, but he said something that has lasted for I think my entire career, and that is when he said, "Think it ain't illegal yet." And I went, wow. Like, that made so much sense to me. I've been living that one sort of proverb, if you will, my entire career. Because he's right. Think that it ain't illegal yet. And until they do, that's what we have to do. We have to keep thinking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are a bright, shining star, and I just pray that people realize that. And again, they don't have to agree with what you're saying, but the mere fact that you are on the air so different from anyone else that has ever presented to us.
Franny, unfortunately, I do have to go because it's the top of the hour, and I got to get to John Silver or he'll kill me.
Sorry.
I love you. I will talk to you soon. Let's get to our newsroom. John Silver, he's waiting in the wings in the in the WTIC newsroom. It's Reese on the radio.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
You know, I got to admit, something weird I thought happened during the top of the hour news with John Silva. And just to be certain, this is not on John Silva. He didn't do anything. This was a press release that was put out. And, you know, as they go, you know, like you read the press releases, you know, as you get them because they're news items. And when before the show began, I heard it and I saw it in my stack of stuff as well. And so I said, I didn't think anything of it. And then John Silva said it at 2:00. And so I said, wait a minute, I'm almost certain that there's something wrong with that. And it wasn't, how do I put it this way? The Connecticut government is taking a victory lap over something that's already solved. So let me just correct the record, okay? Connecticut is not footing the bill for WIC. They're not. Putting out a press release saying, don't worry, folks, we're going to go into our secret stash and we're going to pay for women, infant, and children payments. Whoever decided to release that today, just retract it. Why? This simple. The Trump administration is funding the WIC Special Supplement Nutrition Program for women, infant, and children during the ongoing government shutdown, which began on October 1st. The White House has redirected tariff revenue to cover WIC costs, preventing the lapse in benefits for millions of low-income families. This includes transfer of funds to sustain the program for the foreseeable future, using a $150 million contingency fund as a bridge while negotiations continue. So Connecticut talking about, we got you. No, you don't. It's been covered. So again, this is what I said in the opening monologue. Injecting yourself into something that you didn't think anybody else was paying attention. Did you think we didn't know, Connecticut? That Donald Trump says, I would never allow mothers or expectant mothers or mothers with newborns. I'm the pro-life president. Do you think I would allow them not to be able to? Do you think I would ever allow it that they would not be able to feed their children? No. So he handled it, lickety-split. And then they put out this press release and said, we got you. We're going to save you. Stop it. It's embarrassing. And there's some lazy people out there. You know who you are. You were probably saying, see, Donald Trump is causing so many problems. These mothers were not going to be able to feed their kids. I'm sorry. I hate having to do it. It's like these things are self-owned. That's all they are. They're a bunch of self-goals. Knock it off. Get it together. Let's do some headlines. A Hate-filled New Jersey man was arrested before the annual Red Mass in Washington, D.C. he had at least 200 explosives in a tent outside, and a notebook declared hatred for ICE and the Supreme Court justices who were due to arrive at the Catholic Church, new court documents show. Louis Jerry, 41 years old, had pitched his tent on the steps of the Cathedral of St. Matthew and allegedly told cops who approached him, "You might want to stay back and call the federales. I have explosives." This according to the filing obtained by the Washington Post. During attempted negotiations with the officers, he allegedly handed them a notebook in which he espoused hatred for the Catholic Church, Supreme Court justices, Jews, and the U.S. Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. Yes, ICE in the document. Dolly Parton's sister is clearing the air on the country music star's health on Tuesday. Frida Parton shared a statement on Facebook when she asked fans to pray for Dolly, who's 79 years old and one of my favorite singers of all time, who recently postponed her Las Vegas residency due to health issues. But in a follow-up statement, Frida clarified the extent of Dolly's illness and why she shared her initial message. Dolly's rep, Ollie Rowland, gave an update on the singer's health on Tuesday. He said, quote, "It's just the kidney stones and the procedure she needs to resolve those. It looks like her sister posted, and it got quite a bit blown out of proportion, weirdly." Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont is also in my headlines. He's warning, this one's an odd one, folks. This one is an odd one. Ned Lamont is in the New York Post because of a conversation he had with Breitbart, which he's actually on a lot. He talks about, he's on the Bloomberg Report a lot. Let me see if I can get the soundbite here. Here it is. Anyway, here's the report. Ned Lamont is saying that fellow Democrat Zoran Mamdani could cripple Wall Street if he wins the New York City mayor's race. He said that the fallout could spill across state lines. Lamont said that he was worried about Mamdani's victory and how it could upend the financial sector, both in New York and in the Constitution state. In an interview with Bloomberg on Tuesday, he said, "New York City is a financial capital of the world, and we're a big piece of it here. I want to make sure that the next mayor understands how important New York City is to the system, and that's important to Connecticut. He thinks that the financial industry appreciates the certainty of stability in Connecticut. They know that the state's going to have their taxes go up a little bit." And that is actually supported by a Fox News report.
New York City, for the first time ever this year, has seen a net loss of financial jobs. And business leaders are warning that this problem could get worse depending on the policies of the person elected in November. Take a look. We lost 8,400 financial sector jobs this year alone, and those jobs are headed elsewhere. Since 2019, financial sector jobs have grown by just 4% here in New York. Texas is coming for our crown. 2 metro areas surging by double digits for financial sector job growth. Because of this, J.P. Morgan now employs more workers in Texas than in New York.
That's a bad sign. What's also a bad sign is what Lamont is really revealing here, is that the businesses are not coming to Connecticut. He knows that. And he wouldn't be concerned about Mamdani and calling it out unless he was concerned. Because, again, I would just benefit from that, right? I'm the guy who's supposed to say, you know what? They leave New York City, they can come up here. But he's not. He seems to be concerned. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Many people may take that, sort of pushback against Mamdani as an endorsement of Andrew Cuomo. Not certain yet. It may be. But what I truly do believe is that Lamont may be showing his hand here on whether or not he's running for re-election. I don't know. It just doesn't. This is not something that you usually do. And you don't chime in like this. So, I don't know. We'll know, I guess, in a bit when he makes a decision. Like I said, I could be wrong. Now it's time for the stupidest thing I read today.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
In something I have to admit is the craziest thing today, and that's Greta Thunberg.
How dare you?
Well, Greta, it's your fault. It's not mine. Don't be mad at me. Greta Thunberg is in a little bit of trouble She's been blasted as an embarrassment after she tried to highlight the suffering of Palestinian prisoners in a social media post, but used a photo of an emaciated Israeli hostage who was forced to dig his own grave. The showboating climate activist had included a skeletal image of the hostage Evatar David in an Instagram post on Monday about the alleged mistreatment of Palestinians in Israeli prisons. She said, quote, "The suffering of Palestinian prisons is not a matter of opinion. It is a fact of cruelty and dehumanization. Humanity cannot be selective. Justice cannot have borders." That's what she wrote while she posted a picture of an emaciated and about to be buried Israeli. Yeah. There you go. Couldn't be more stupid, but that's Greta.
How dare you?
Don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at me. That's your own stupidity. I did so many stories about her on my podcast. People would send me notes all the time. Do you know she's autistic? And I go, so? I'm like, so? I'm like, what is that supposed to mean to me? It is that same, it's the same thing. It's like, how do I put it? It's like that's supposed to give people protection from being called out when they're being, stupid, criminal even. Like we're supposed to treat them as special needs when they say something patently dumb. We're not allowed to. It's like, do you know she has autism? And my response to that is, and this means what? Well, you have to understand. What am I supposed to understand? That she has autism. And this means what? So she's allowed to do dumb things. And I wish they would just say that. I wish you would, all of you. I wish you just would. Just say, okay, look, because he's in a wheelchair, he's allowed to say dumb stuff. And if you criticize him, you're criticizing his handicap. And my view on that is that the only thing that's handicapped is that guy's brain. And until they give a placard for that, which, by the way, every spot at Walmart would be a handicapped parking space. Nothing against Walmart. Nothing against Walmart before people start writing in. I'm just saying any parking lot for that matter. Michael P. says she definitely has a touch of the ism. Again, I'm just saying it's not. Don't blame me. I have nothing to do with it. Speaking of, I wanted to get this earlier. Let me do this real quick. I mentioned it 2 days in a row. I never got to it. Andrew Cuomo was on The View a couple days back, if not last week, and he said something interesting. And I really, really thought this was a smart strategy, but I don't know if it'll work. I still think it was smart. I just don't know whether or not it would work. He invoked Trump as a way to get New Yorkers to stop supporting Mamdani and support him. Which I get it. It's clever. But again, as I said, don't think it'll work. Listen real close.
I'm asking you questions about whether or not...
Oh, wrong one. I'm sorry. That was the wrong one. That's Chris Cuomo. I need to go to Andrew Cuomo. This is Andrew Cuomo.
And Alyssa is exactly right. He wants Mamdani. 2 reasons. One, going into the midterms, he will take a picture of Mamdani, run around the country and say, here's what happened to the Democrats. They are now communists. They hate the police. They legalize prostitution, legalize drugs. They want to elect this Democrat. No experience whatsoever. Being mayor of New York would be his first real job.
Okay, so he's making a good point, right? He's saying Trump wants Mamdani. So that's an appeal to the people who are voting for Mamdani. You hate Trump, right? That's the reason why you like Mamdani. And Trump really wants Mamdani. He really does. So if you vote for Mamdani, you're giving Trump what he wants. Now, again, I'm not going to lie. When it comes to Mamdani supporters and the progressive left, they hate Trump. It is a brilliant appeal to them on Andrew Cuomo's part. If he weren't so toxic, though, it would work with anybody else. But I get it. It would work. A lot of people right now, when they hear that, they're probably going, yeah, if Trump is saying that he wants it, it's quite possible that we shouldn't give it to Trump. But then he does this.
Okay?
And that'll send the national troops in because of the crime rate.
Second move, it's good for Donald Trump because it's the excuse he needs to take over New York, which he said he will do. He said, if they elect this person, then I, Donald Trump, am going to have to step in, take over New York to protect the good people of New York.
It's a good idea for Andrew Cuomo to convey this to the voters. It could change things. He's got enough time. If he keeps repeating this, it could put a little bit of like a little shiv in the campaign. I mean it figuratively. Of Mamdani. People start having doubts. Yeah, well, what if he does do all of the radical things and Trump tries to exert his executive power? Ooh, can Mamdani take it? Yeah, you know, I don't want Trump to take over New York. He could win. He's winning so many times in these courtrooms. I don't know if I can actually risk it. So I think it's a pretty good strategy. I don't know. Maybe it is. Let's go to the phones. Rob, what's going on, sir?
Hey, Reese, how are you?
I'm good, sir. What's up?
I love your show. I love what you're doing. You are a mastermind. I just have one small suggestion.
Okay.
Off of Greta Thunberg, I know you do Negro nonsense on Thursdays. What about Wacky White Chick Wednesdays?
Well, I will do, first of all, I'm doing Wacky Whitey on Tuesday, but I will include women, as I did yesterday with Beverly D'Angelo.
Yeah. Hey, we're equal opportunity offenders here.
Well, did you see?
Hope you have a great afternoon.
Thank you, man. Did you see yesterday's Wacky Whitey? By the way, did you hear it?
I did not. Oh, I feel bad. I did not.
No. Okay, go back. Listen, this is the reason why you got to either download the Odyssey app or go to WTIC.com or ReeseOnTheRadio.com and go check it out. It's there.
I can do that.
It's really, really.
Right.
A lot of people liked it. I got a great feedback from it, so you will enjoy it.
And we love you.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. I appreciate you.
Have a great day.
You too. Let's go. Hey, Georgie, what's up, sir?
Hi, Reese. Your opening monologue. The question is, where does the Democrat Party get its revenue that brought in 20 million illegal immigrants?
Yeah.
And you have to ask the question. You can play the theme from The Godfather. We're talking about the same sources that run the rackets, that run the Democrat Party. We're talking about the unions. We're talking about both legal and illegal drug trade.
Yep.
We're talking about the port authorities, the people that bring, import all your goods from the ports. Probably your corporations like AT&T.
You have one organization you're forgetting about. There's one establishment in New York that has a huge role in immigration. In fact, some of them travel with them for thousands of miles, and that's the UN.
Yeah, exactly. I'm forgetting about the insurance companies. Mm-hmm. The medical and life insurance companies are supporting the Democrat Party. They're all distributing revenue to the Democrat Party that keeps it going. You kill the rackets, you kill the money, the sources of money.
Yeah.
And the Democrat Party dies on the vine.
How do you feel? How do you feel about Donald Trump sort of suggesting in recent days on Truth Social that some of those folks, as you're talking about, especially those who are aiding and abetting in some of the violence that's happening, against ICE agents, that he's going to get the Department of Justice to start going after the funders, and not just about those things, but as you talked about with like getting illegals into the country and sort of subverting, law in the United States. What do you think that he's going to make any headway with that?
Here's what we're talking about. We're talking about clubs.
Yeah.
We're talking about organized crime, and what you have to do is go into the the cafeterias or wherever they're meeting and bust them up. It's that simple.
Yeah, I agree. I think. Well, first we have to identify them, George. Like once we identify them, because the news media, I can tell you, if the news media goes apoplectic at the mere mention of some of these groups, then we know that we're above the target. right? Because when James Comey got indicted, what did the left do? The news media went nuts, as they're going nuts today during his hearing, like they lost control. An NBC reporter had the audacity to say on the air, I don't exactly see what they're bringing him in for. I'm like, it's not your job to do that. It's your job to just say that he came in and pled not guilty and went home.
Reese, could I change the subject for just a minute?
No, I can't. I got to get up out of here, George. But I appreciate you, sir. Right. Thank you. No, I no more changing the subject. I used to do that all the time. I was so kind about it, too. And I remember getting off the air one day, and I was just like, they're changing the subject a lot on me a lot. I said, do you want to talk about this? And it was like, well, you got to take ownership of your show. And it was in the beginning, I was green because I kind of felt like, you guys missed, what the show used to be like. And then I had to come in and completely change it and do it my way. And I felt a little guilty about it because I care about you. Don't get me wrong. I love you guys. But I did have to stand on my own, too, and say, okay, listen, this is the Reese on the Radio show. So I appreciate those of you who have been understanding of that. I know that, I'm going to have to wean some people off the needle. But that's just touch and go. I'm just going to have to do it over and over again. Anyway, we'll take a break. By the way, we do have guests. We got Jason Wang and we have John Lyons. They are running for town council in West Hartford. But they are going to be coming here in a little bit to talk about a Democrat running for town council in West Hartford by the name of Lisa Lazarus. And what this woman has been doing in her private life runs against everything the Democrat Party has told us. Everything. And it involves the most vulnerable people in the state, the poor, and the black and brown. We'll have that for you in a little bit. Jason Wang and John Lyons joining us at 4:05. Stand by for that and much, much more when we return. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's our birthday. WTIC has been on the air for 100 years, and we don't look a day over 98.
We're back. Reese on the radio. As I mentioned before, Jason Wang, John Lyons running for town council in West Hartford will be on the program at 4:15. Today, 4:05 is what we call it here. But they'll be on to talk about Lisa Lazarus and what she is doing with low-income housing in the Hartford area, especially as it pertains to slumlords. And it is really a disgusting story that no one is covering around, and there are a lot of people who have been affected by this. I got to say this on a personal level. I've lived from everything to a horrible apartment to a single-room occupancy. I've lived in a two-family house. I've lived in a single-family home. And now I own a home. I've always lived in what I called an apartment, technically, as a grown-up, as an adult. And two-family home, the only time I lived in a single home was actually when Roseanne and I got together. We rented a home, an entire home, which was interesting. It got me, really excited. I can't wait to own my own home. And sure enough, here I am. So I know what it's like to live in squalor. And my first real apartment in New York was on 11th Street between Avenue B and C. And when I lived there, Joe Pesci had just gotten off of Goodfellas and was filming a movie called The Super down the block on 11th Street between Avenue A and B. And there's a scene that's right on my corner at a grocery store in the movie. For those of you who remember The Super, the grocery store there was a grocery store I frequented every day when I lived on 11th between B and C. I have a great Joe Pesci story, by the way, about that. I can't say it here because there are expletives included because, it's Joe Pesci. But it was good. I'll put it to this way. Joe Pesci knows me. But anyway, that apartment, different today. That road, if you were to Google map it, is a completely different place than where it was when I moved in. When I lived in it, in 1991, 11th Street, 620 East 11th Street. When I lived there, I had a BB gun, and I would sit in my bedroom and shoot rats as they scurried across my kitchen floor. That was the squalor I was living in. It was my first real apartment in New York City. Before then, I was couch surfing in Manhattan on Avenue D. So when I heard this story, and I heard about what these families were dealing with, I kind of knew what they were talking about, but not to this extent. Some of the families in these homes, right here in Hartford, folks, I want you to think about this, your neighbors. Some of the children are waking up with roaches crawling all over them, rats running all over their homes and apartments, parents scared that their babies might be bitten because it's all they could afford. Some of them are paying rents as little as $500. And I know you might be saying to yourself, well, Reese, they're only paying like $500 to $700. What did they expect? If you are charging them $500, that's on you. If you are charging them $750, that's on you. But if you are giving a person an opportunity to live in those apartments on a month-to-month basis, you won't even give them a year lease. Why? Because you have no intention of making that place code. And you know that if those people complain, they'll just get evicted. And they will lose their housing. And you all know housing is scarce, at least at that level where these people can afford that. What they're trying to do is just get a roof over their babies' heads, even their own, if they don't have kids. They're doing whatever they can to just live. But they don't deserve that. And something must be done. And it sucks that these folks, their pleas is falling on left ears. It is not cool that Mayor Arunin does not know about this. And we're talking about a lot of addresses in Hartford. A lot. We're not talking about a little. A lot. A lot of addresses. Some of the addresses we've got over here, 821 Capitol Avenue, 82 Cabbage Street, 358 Weathersfield Avenue. These places, and again, they're in Hartford's North End and South End and over at Frog Hollow, sorry. Everybody knows this is going on and no one's doing anything about it. And at the same time, screaming, we don't have any housing. And then people who are running for public office are actually facilitating this madness more and more. Really, and it's crazy. You want to laugh? One of the organizations that are alleged to be a part of this, of all things, is called Stark Enterprises. And people were telling me, it was like, that's pretty ironic. And I was like, yeah, remember when Stark was the bad guy, when he was just selling weapons, until he got kidnapped? Yeah. This is going on right under your noses. No one's talking about it. Nobody. How is that possible? How is it possible that these people, and again, no voice, nobody sticking up for them. Oh, I forgot the most important thing to folks in Connecticut. I did. I don't know how I did. Probably because I'm usually not of that mindset, but I should have thought about this before. That's right. The victims of this heinous crime, black and brown. And Lisa Lazarus is a black woman. And, how did I forget this? She's running on a DEI platform. Wow. How is that? How is that possible? It's just, for some, it boggles the mind. Wouldn't it boggle yours? Like, I thought the caring, the nurturing, sticking up for the guy who needs help, the underserved. I wish I could say what I really want to say. I wish I could say it just once. I wish this was cable TV so I could call it balls. I wish I could. Because that's all they are. And again, look, I'm going to say this again to all the liberals. You know who you are who listen to this program. I'm going to say it to all of them. Where are you now? Where are you now? Go into my inbox. Go to my instant message. Go to wherever it is you got to go. Start telling me about how you want to help. Start telling me. Say, hey, Reese, that's messed up. How can I chip in? How can I help these people? How can I bring attention to this? I bet you I won't hear from any of you. I won't hear a word. You'll go complete radio silence on me. And that was what I meant about earlier in the opening monologue. You guys don't give a damn. Why would you? Why would you? When it counts, you got nothing to say. When the rubber meets the road and these people who really need help, they're being kicked out on their ass. Nowhere to stay. And the only thing they're asking is not to open up their cereal boxes and have roaches crawling out of them. They want their babies to be in a safe place that they provided for them. They want a sense of pride and a sense of dignity. What do you got? You got nothing. And remember me, the evil, conservative MAGA guy who's making fun of illegal immigrants with type 2 diabetes? Because I don't care. I don't care about anybody who's on my dime who can't get healthy. What I do care about is people who are actually trying to do something for themselves and they're getting hosed. Those people count. Those people count. Because any one of those folks could be on Section 8 and probably get a palatial place to live. But no, they took their own money and they tried to live in a place and all they did was ask, hey, can you fix this? Hey, there's mold here. Hey, there are rats here. And what did they get for their trouble? You gotta go. My favorite 2 words, spare me. You don't give a damn. You never did. You can't. You can't, because the true people, the true needy that are out there, who are right in your face, not the mythical ones you made up, the real folks who you can actually help, you can actually get involved with, you don't move a muscle. Because most of you are just fat and lazy anyway. The only thing you want to do is protest behind a keypad. But that's okay. No one needs you. Just saying. No one needs you. No one asks. We got this. We got this. We don't need your money. We don't need your time. We damn sure don't need your headache. So we're good. Rollo says most of these politicians are full of, can't say on the radio. Rollo also said it ain't just liberals. Yeah, I know a lot of conservatives out there, or so-called conservatives. They're not really stepping up either. This is a winnable argument. You're 100% Rollo. There are a lot of people out there who know that they can actually affect some change out there, and not just with a press release. They can get down there. They can bring the cameras and say, hey, you really want to see what these folks are doing? You want to talk about the housing crisis in here? Look at what they're doing at these buildings. Selling them for $1.2 million to slumlords, out-of-state slumlords. Are they fixing these buildings, making them livable? Nope. Same status quo. Month-to-month tenants. Complain and be gone. These buildings sit empty, continuing to decay. And they say some poor schlub, he'll take it or leave it. Not a word. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. Then we got weather and traffic as well, top of the hour. And like I said, Jason Wang, John Lyons. We'll talk about this story with Lisa Lazarus and these slumlords in Connecticut when we return. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Let's take a couple of minutes on the phones. Let's go to Rob in Meriden. Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello, Reese. I appreciate you picking up the call.
I don't know why I do it every time.
I know. I know the other guy said 41 minutes. That's nothing to wait, and I appreciate the wait. And, don't let no one influence your show.
I appreciate you. What do you got?
And but the thing is about the taxes. If I could explain, or you could help me, I like that term you always say. You and me own 2 3-family homes. They're side by side. There's 3 families in one, and there's 3 families on the other side by side.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting $1,500 a month each. You and me are, partners, investors, whatever term. And we have a Polish family who are au pairs in Hartford, but the child is going to Trinity College. So the whole family from Poland, they're on a visa or whatever, and they rent for $4,500 a month.
Okay.
Then we got another place from Canada who, they're working here. They work for a solar farm, and they're working on a visa, and but they're from Canada, and they're so the 2 houses, you and me are getting $4,500 for one, 15, and 15. Then we're getting 45, so we're getting $9,000 a month in rent.
Okay.
You and me, and at the end, that comes out to $108,000.
Okay.
A year. So then we have to pay, you and me have to pay water taxes and property taxes.
Right.
Who pays that?
Well, clearly not our residents. I mean, we set the price of our rental.
So you don't think you and me are going to take that rent and pay the taxes?
No. I'm
not.
not.
You and me are going to go to the casino.
No. Of course, we're going to pay those taxes. But what we should do.
Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you. You answered it, and keep up the good work. Goodbye.
I don't even know what that was supposed to mean. Was there something deep in that? No. If there was something supposed to be deep in that, I don't know what it was. I really don't. But whatever. Okay, I'm renting my home when I get to Connecticut. I don't know. And our rent is based upon 1, the market, and 2, it covers our mortgage and it covers other incidentals. We're still going to pay the taxes. Well, we don't pay taxes on a home because Roseanne is a retired veteran. So I don't have to deal with that. But the bottom line is that anybody who rents anything, they take all of that into consideration. So I don't even know what that was all about. I couldn't tell you at all. Let me see if I can take Jim in for a minute and a half. Hello, Jim.
Yeah, how you doing? Real quick, back about 25, maybe even longer, there was a big scandal in Connecticut about Section 8 housing, and most of the owners that had all those properties that were set up for rent control.
Yeah.
Section 8 were all out of New York. The owners were basically out of New York. And they got into the whole thing you were probably getting into, fixing the apartments up and making sure there wasn't any problems.
Right.
And not one dime was spent, and ever. And then the other side of the coin was, they can't keep up with the repairs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Yeah, and what ended up happening, actually, I don't know what ended up happening as far as what the result was. The scandal was that there was...
Jim, darn it, wherever you go when you're actually...
weren't getting...
You're cutting out, Jim. But I'm about to go to a break anyway. See if you can call back in at least an hour or so. I want to hear what you have to say because we're gonna extend this conversation with Jason Wang and John Lyons when they get on. So I want to hear what you have to say. So give me a holler back. We got to get to our first check of weather and traffic for the day, and it looks like Bob Larson is in for weather, but I know Mark Christopher's back. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. How you doing, bud?
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Later on in the show, in about an hour, we'll have some Hollywood news for you. For all of you guys who grew up in the 80s, liking a particular cartoon, there's a movie coming out next year that you might be interested in or you might secretly watch when no one is around. I don't think you'll watch it in movie theaters. I think this is going to do really, really well at home. People will actually stream it, but I'll talk to you about it in an hour. In a couple of minutes, we'll talk to Jason Wang and John Lyons. They are running for town council in West Hartford. We'll talk to them about this very, very seedy story with slumlords in Hartford, Connecticut, and so many homes that are affected by this woman, Lisa Lazarus, who's also running for town council, and why the Democrat Party would run a person who would allow individuals in Hartford to live like this. And it's despicable. So we're going to get to the bottom of that. We'll talk to both of those gentlemen in a minute when we get to that. Lastly, I want to mention this. Let me get this piece real quick. There is nothing worse than being lied to. there is nothing worse than being lied to and told that if you don't respond to certain things that you are a denier.
You can't rebuild the same. So we have to rebuild with science. We have to build with climate reality in mind. And this is the reality, the new reality of extremes. Extreme heat, extreme drought. You have droughts and rain bombs. You have flooding at the same time you're dealing with droughts, all happening concurrently. There's a new reality, the world we're living in. And if you're not believing science, you have to believe your own eyes, your own lived experience. We have to wake up to this reality. We cannot be in denial.
That was Governor Gavin Newsom talking about the Palisades fire. You remember earlier this year? The one that everybody told us was climate change? Yeah. Now they have somebody arrested for setting the fire. Had nothing to do with climate change. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. Let's get on the line with Jason Wang and John Lyons. Are both of you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, beautiful gentlemen. Thank you for being on the program, and thank you for bringing this story to our attention. Let's begin. First, let's introduce both of you. Jason Wang, you're running for town council in West Hartford. You're not relatively new to West Hartford. How long have you lived in the area?
It's just kind of complicated. I moved to Avon, Connecticut when I was in high school. I went away for college for a bit. I ended up finishing at UConn, and then I lived in Hartford for quite a few years. Then I moved away, and now I'm back. So we've been back in West Hartford now for 3.5 years. Been very happy to live here.
And John, your story is a little interesting because if I read the story correctly, you are new to not Hartford or West Hartford for that matter, but you're new to the Republican Party. Is that true?
I think you read that correctly.
Okay, I did. Your story is a little interesting in all of this because both of you, this all ties into Lisa Lazarus and what's been going on. So I will say, I guess let's start with Jason. Jason, talk to everyone about, because I gave sort of, a breakdown of what's going on, but you found about this anonymous letter that was put out online on Facebook about what was happening in the Hartford area as it pertained to slumlords. Tell everybody a little bit about that letter, that what we've been able to ascertain with this letter and the investigation thus far.
Yeah, sure. I guess I want to preface by saying none of us on the Republican side, on the town council side, wanted to go negative. I absolutely did not want to do be saying anything negative about our Democratic opponents. And I still approach this from the standpoint that we're all trying to make our town greater and our country greater. So really, if you look at everything we've written, everything, letters to the editor, op-eds, it's always been about a positive vision for West Hartford. But ultimately, due to personal reasons, due to professional reasons, when I saw this data, it was kind of like, oh my God, it was so ugly that I kind of felt like I couldn't ignore it. It was so bad, in my opinion, that almost like I felt like we had to bring it, to kind of let the voters know. Basically.
I hear you. Now, Jason, just to cut you off for a second, are you using any device, or are you like speakerphone or anything like that? Because a little bit, it's like not muffled, but like you're speaking too far away or too loudly.
Oh, here, you know what? I'll put my phone to my ears. One sec.
Okay. All right, because I
was noticing that too,
better?
and I thought it was me.
Yeah, it just said you sounded a little muffled. Some of the stuff's coming in clearly, but some of it is not. You want to try again?
Better? Is this better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better. Okay, so you find out this information. Give everybody the sum up of what we learned with all of these properties. How many properties have we found so far that are involved in this scheme, as it were?
I'll give you, let's see here. Let me open up the document. Let me tell you how many properties there were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties that were sort of, I think you would consider a slumlord type situations.
Right.
And roughly about 24 evictions, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Now, 24 evictions, and most of these evictions, if not all, have all been associated, if you will, with complaints about the living conditions of these apartments inside these properties.
Correct. I mean, I don't know about every single one. I mean, it's dozens of evictions. So I didn't, the last cache of evictions that became public, I didn't read through every court document.
Gotcha.
Of the early ones. Many of them were, for example, reports of roaches crawling in my ear and over my baby. Bathroom ceiling fell in and took months to do a partial repair, rat infestation, roach infestation, things like that. Yeah, so it's pretty alarming findings.
Now, aside from the story alone, which again should be alarming to every news outlet and, of course, elected officials who represent that area. But the part that makes this much more alarming is the person who is in charge of the sale of these properties, who is Lisa Lazarus, who's running for town council in West Hartford, a virtual unknown who's associated with this. And that's the reason why you guys have been bringing this attention to the story.
Yeah, I mean, the real concern is, I mean, we believe in the free market, and we're not against people, making money even through unethical ways.
Right.
But listen, Lisa's running to be a leader in West Hartford. I mean, she's running to lead our town. And I think that's really, then I think morals and ethics do come into it. And when you look at kind of what the behavior was, do you want me to kind of explain what the from start to beginning of what the situation is?
Yeah, real quick, and then we'll get to John, because his story is also equally interesting because how he plays a role in this is, and Lisa Lazarus is interesting. But go ahead.
Okay, I'll try to make it quick. But basically, Lisa's a commercial real estate broker, and if you look at her list of transactions, they're mostly in distressed areas of Hartford, a couple in Waterbury, areas with low income. And then when you drill down into those real estate transactions, what you'll notice is repetitive language that clearly almost seems like a dog whistle for slumlords. So language, for example, the most clear language is rents are currently below market value, and there is ample opportunity to maximize cash flow and boost your ROI. Other ones will say rents are currently below market value, and all units are on month-to-month leases. They'll have very similar language throughout. And basically what that is a signal is, hey, these are low-income folks that are probably struggling, and
right.
They're not paying a lot per month. So it's an advertising to investors to come in, buy them up. And again, they're on month-to-month leases. So you can raise the hell out of those rents. Oh, can I say that word?
Yeah, no, that's hell is good.
And that's what we saw happen, is when these transactions go through, you start to see evictions and rent increases. Sometimes rents going more than double in about 15 months. There was one unit that went from $500 to $1,100 in about 15 months. And we know this because there were multiple evictions in the same unit. So we have court documents substantiating that the rents were increased at this rapid pace. And the people who are being evicted are largely, people who, they're really people who are struggling, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
they're the working poor, as we refer to them on this show. They're the working poor, but nonetheless, they deserve dignity and a roof over their head and livable, communities.
Right, and at least one child was evicted. I'm sure there were many more, but when you also look at who the buyers are, it's typically these out-of-state corporations. So it's, for example, a corporation based in Ohio. There's one based in New York. There's a couple based in New Jersey. And so they really are not of our community. They don't care about our community. And they basically find these units through Lisa and other realtors, but through Lisa, who is advertising, again, these are below market rents. They're month-to-month leases. You can raise the rents on these people. And so these out-of-state investors are coming in and they're doing just that. They're neglecting maintenance. There's deplorable conditions, at least accusations of, in court documents of deplorable conditions. They're raising rents and they are evicting people.
Wow.
And that's really the crux of this issue. And I completely understand the argument of like, hey, it's a free country and people are free, landlords can do this. That's actually true. However, it really, from a human standpoint, I mean, the human toll is just, I think, really heartbreaking.
No,
and again,
listen, I think ethically, and this is an ethics issue. And again, excuse me, if you're running for public office, especially to lead the town in West Hartford, and this is what you do as a business, as a practice, there's some ethical problems that I have with that. Let's get to John real quick. John Lyons is with us as well, running for town council. John, you left the Democrat Party, became a Republican with, I guess I could say, because of your, interactions with your party as it pertains to Lisa Lazarus. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go that far. But basically, here's what happened is around May, and I don't know the dates, but around May, it became apparent that Carol Blanks was going to step down and that there was going to be a vacancy. So I expressed interest and Lisa expressed interest. And at that time, Ben Winograd, who's the deputy mayor, said, look, for whatever reasons, Lisa's probably the person who's going to be slotted in that spot. But why don't you, I heard Jason's name mentioned and there were a few other names. Why don't you all run as working party, third party, and we'll try to take out the remaining Republicans. Wow. And I said to my response, I was like, Ben, I look, maybe I agree, maybe I don't agree on some issues, but the Republicans deserve a voice. Our town is somewhere between 1/3 and 40% Republicans, and they deserve a voice. And that really sat poorly with me. That is widely known that he had these conversations in the DTC. It's widely known. Okay. So there's no denying them. So that was the first thing. And then, so then we had the race. The decision came down to 14 decision makers. And the 14 decision makers, of them, 8 of them expressed concerns over another counselor. I'm not going to mention his name. He's not on the call to defend himself.
Okay.
Another Democrat counselor. Okay. They expressed concerns to me. So I sat down with the chair of the party, Peter Andrews, and I said, we actually had a call. I was driving home from a wedding on a Saturday night. We had a call. I said, look, Peter, you need to put all 7 of us in play for the 6 spots. And if you do, we're good. Even if I don't get through, we're good. And he said he would do it. He didn't do it. So he basically, what he did is all of the incumbents he protected, and he put it just down to Lisa and me, which I felt, and Lisa and I talked about this, I felt it was very unfair. Lisa, I don't want to speak for her, but I think Lisa and I were on the same page. And, we had a lot of conversations about it, and it simply wasn't fair. So then the vote happened. It came down to, representation for 64,000 people came down to these 14 votes. It was a split. It wasn't unanimous, but I lost. And at that point, I started asking myself, okay, I know if I primary, I'm going to win. I mean, you know nothing about me, but I'm very well known in West Hartford. I do know.
I know you're well known in Hartford. I do know you're well known in West Hartford.
Okay, so I'm very, if I'm on a ballot, if I'm on a primary ballot, candidly, I'm going to win. Okay, I'm just going to win. I'm not going to get the most votes, but I'm not going to get the least votes. So I had some conversations with some people that are very well connected and I trust. And one of them was, all right, let's go the primary route. That was one of the discussions. But then we looked at the cost to West Hartford. And one of the things I'm pushing for, and I think Jason's doing a phenomenal job of pushing for, is let's try to manage our taxes, manage our grand list. I mean, we just can't put any more burdens on our residents, especially the elderly and the lower income folks. We've got to find a way. So for me to spend $50,000 of the town's money to have a primary, I felt was wrong. So I then asked 4 key people, and I cannot say who they are, but 4 extremely key people, the simple question: is the town of West Hartford better served with John Lyons on town council, irrespective of party, or not? And the answer was 3-1 yes. And the 1 understood, but feared for me. And but I've always been a centrist, and some people in the Democrat Party hate me for that, and maybe some Republicans are going to hate me for that. But I look at the issues of West Hartford. This is not a national race. We're not fighting to get into the White House. This is a race to lead our community and lead our community forward and help those who need the help.
Do you believe that they are putting Lisa Lazarus ahead of you, or they were putting her ahead of you, even though she was a virtual unknown, for other reasons other than her abilities?
Yeah. So what I said in my interview process with each member of each of the, I interviewed with all 14 members of the executive committee, and I've served on the executive committee, so I've seen both sides of it. Mm-hmm. And what I said is, you need to pick the best candidate who's best qualified. If Lisa's better at this than I am, you need to pick her. That's what I said.
And you don't believe?
I don't. The feedback I've heard is that it's not the case.
Yeah, well, no, that's the feedback I heard, that wasn't the case. That this was.
And then this bombshell, and again, I didn't do the investigating. I really, I got to give Jason 100% of the credit for doing the research. I'm on simply to tell my story.
Right.
But this bombshell, so what does the DTC do today? They post a picture of Donald Trump and then the 6 candidates. Well, they got 5 of us. One was wrong. But they posted the 6 candidates on a thing saying that we were going after the LGBTQ plus community, which I'm a huge supporter of. I'm not. Saying that we're being divisive. And it's like, look, here's the drill. I want an issues-based campaign. I am not going to personally attack anyone. Today, Sherry Cantor was horribly, horribly attacked. I will not discuss on the radio what happened. It was horrible. I was the first person, opposite party, got on and said, this is horrible. This is awful. Take this post down now. I sent the post to the town manager. I sent the post to a member of the media who I know. It is offensive. And thank God they took that post down. It was disgusting. And I don't care what party you're a member of. I'm going to stand up for you.
You know what? I appreciate both of you, gentlemen. We are going to do some more investigating onto this, and we're going to reach out to Lisa Lazarus so she can tell her side of the story on this.
That was my parting shot. She needs an opportunity to tell her side of the story.
And that's exactly what we do. Thank you both. I appreciate you. Jason Wang, John Lyons will be following this story all the way through. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's get a check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Let's take 3 minutes. Let's talk to Mark in West Hartford real quick before we go to a break.
Real quick. So the first and foremost, I'll be forever grateful those two brought Lisa Lazarus to my attention. But secondly, you know where I'm going to go. What have I been saying about Connecticut Republicans?
Yeah.
If they can't go off script on a person like Lisa Lazarus, this playing nice stuff. And you know what? Not for nothing. If this is the new face of the Republicans, John Lyons, I wish he stayed a Democrat. I'm sorry. That was awful.
Well, he's trying. I think he's
beta male Republican.
I think that he's a centrist. Again, he made it clear to me that he's not a Republican. He's a centrist Democrat, but he's joining a Republican Party. But I will say this, and again, I'm not even going to make it about John Lyons. That's not even the issue.
No, it's not the issue.
But he clearly sees that the problem is that this particular part, and he also. Remember, he's pushing back on what it is that the DTC is doing here. What they turned around and did was accuse Republicans of some awful stuff, and he was the first person to call it out. It didn't even seem like Republicans stepped up to the plate, but he stepped up and said, you guys have to take this down. So I give him credit for that.
Defending my mayor, him defending Sherry Cantor, he just lost all credibility with me.
Yeah, you're not a fan.
Time here, but it's not a fact. I got more facts on her. And what she's done and what she misinforms or doesn't inform, no statements. I mean, to defend her and worry about somebody putting up a horrible post about her. How about the horrible things she does and keeps from her constituents? Mm-hmm. That's worse than any stupid cartoon or statement. How she treats us. Our taxes are going up. Crime is going up. Our cost of living. She wants to drive us out of our houses. She lives in a mansion, and get this. Wait till I show everybody. I'm going to show a picture. I'm not going to dox her or anything. But she's telling people like me in my little 1,300 square foot ranch that my house is underused and I should move into the unit she's building.
You said, wait, your 1,300 square foot rent, you said is underused?
It's underused. And let me tell you, I just spent 9 years as a caregiver for my mother-in-law because I turned it into an infirmary. So shame on her for even making statements like that.
Yeah.
And I don't care if they're elderly living by themselves, who are my neighbors. That's their home.
Yeah.
You're going to tell them they're underusing it?
You can't.
Who is she to say that?
Yeah, it's
an awful, evil mayor. Terrible person.
It's a callous thing to say, without a doubt. But don't worry. Listen, this story's not over. We've got a lot of.
So listen, you and I will take over.
Oh, no, we got this covered.
I'm grateful they brought it to light. But let's put it this way: I'm not counting on them to go into Hartford with me and try to get into any of these units or talk to the tenants. We'll take care of that.
You got it, boss man. You got it.
Brother.
Thank you. Let's take a break. We got Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS traffic center. I got that boy real riled up, didn't I?
Yeah, no kidding.
The NAACP calls him, whoa, I don't think I'm allowed to read this. It's Reese on the radio. Let's just say some people are not fans. On News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. Now, before I get into any more phone calls, I have to do this because when I was growing up, if I would get into a conversation with folks politically, and this happened for a lot of years in my life, I would talk to people on the left. And usually, because of the neighborhood that I lived in growing up, I spoke to a lot of African Americans who are liberal. I grew up in Hollis, Queens, okay? Spent my time in South Jamaica, Hollis, Queens, Flushing, Corona. And a lot of the people that I hung out with were all African American. I had a few Hispanic friends, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, They were some of my closest buds. Robert Ortiz, Oscar Palenko, Jamie Montgomery. And usually, most of these guys always were brought up on the left. I was the odd man out. Again, let's say, as you know my origin story. I was a conservative since I was 10 years old. And I would get in a debate with these folks. And everybody in the neighborhood I would get into these arguments with. Because, couldn't see my point of view. And I watched a hell of a lot of television. Political television at that. I love press conferences. That's another big thing of mine. And, political press conferences, like the president's giving one. I love watching that. And the one theme my entire life I've always heard from the left, especially those in the black community, was about how we need to be more like Europe. Man, the way they do it in Europe, they need to have things like they do in Europe. Why can't you? Europe is doing it. Why can't we? It was all these arguments. And I would push back on every one of them. We can't do that because we're this. When they do that, that's not a good thing. These things are not good for us. I make these arguments all the time. So, of course, I did not have this platform. And a lot of people on the left listen to this program. And I know that, and I appreciate you. Don't think I don't. I do, bottom of my heart. So as I'm going through my usual day, I don't just gather news. Sometimes I check out something that may come across my desk. I'll be scamming through something, and I might be looking for, like, the stupidest thing I read today. And I might come across a video here and there, some minor documentary. And then I ran into this from a reporter back in the days on the ABC News 2020. It's a guy by the name of John Stossel. Remember him? If you don't remember him, he famously got his ear slapped from a wrestler for questioning whether or not it was fake on 2020. He was an on-field reporter with Barbara Wawa and Hugh Downs. Hugh Downs still has one of the greatest voices on television. I'm Hugh Downs. And he, John Stossel, did this piece about the European model. And the reason why I'm playing it is because of something I just talked about the other day. In fact, you might remember Leroy from The Last Dragon. Bruce Leroy called up and said, Reese, I never agree with anything that you say, but I agree with you on this, is that I love the entrepreneurial spirit of people in Texas, that you just pop up a tent and then that's your job. That's the way you take care of your family. He, a guy who disagrees with me about everything, agreed with me on that. And when I saw this piece and I heard something in it, I went, this guy is from Sweden that John Stossel is talking to. And he left Sweden and moved to like Kansas, I believe. And he's talking about why America cannot become the European model for a slew of reasons. But aside from those, I'll give you a few in this piece.
Our quality of life is not up to the other countries, you know. Europe is better.
So much better. But about 15 years ago, Europe's growth stagnated. Today, America is 50% richer, even though the EU has 100 million more people. Europe's become kind of a wine and cheese museum. Tourist money keeps it going, but there's so little growth that the poorest U.S. state is now richer than most European countries.
The poorest U.S. state is richer than most European countries. For those of you who are listening on the radio, what U.S. state? Mississippi. Yes, that's right. Mississippi, the poorest U.S. state, is wealthier than a hell of a lot of European countries. That is United Kingdom, France, Malta, Italy, Cyprus, Spain, Slovenia, Estonia, Czech Republic, Portugal, Lithuania, Slovakia, Greece, Latvia, Hungary, Poland. I might as well be the whole EU. Mississippi.
Why? Because of the very same policies some Americans now want us to copy, like higher taxes.
We will tax the rich.
In America, we now have absurdly rich people.
If you add up all the value that these individuals have, it's nowhere near enough to pay for all the obligations that the federal government has.
You get free health care, free education.
No, you get the right to free health care, but whether you actually get the health care or not is a different story.
That is something I've been trying to tell people for the longest. Having the right to free health care does not mean that you're going to get it, because it will make wait times long as hell. And this professor, or this writer, I should say, this economics professor, he breaks it down like this.
I have friends who have died in the Swedish healthcare system because they couldn't get treatment in time.
And we know this to be a fact because some people are waiting 3 years to see their primary care doctor for tumors. For tumors. I played that audio right here on the show. You have the right to free health care, but whether or not they'll get around to you, you could die before you see a physician.
On taxpayer-supported TV, they complain that
we and Papua New Guinea are the only countries in the world that do not provide any paid time off for new mothers.
Now, paid time off. Everybody's been talking about that. I remember that from the Obama administration. That was one of the most important things to do. You should be able to get paid time off should you decide to have a child. They have to do that for mothers. Well, they did that in Sweden. And it's interesting because they can't stop you from paid time off if you have a baby. Let's check out the Sweden model.
You get 16 weeks in the Netherlands, almost 70 weeks in Sweden.
You can have one kid, and then you're away for a year. And then if you have another kid, you just perpetuate your maternity leave, and you can be away for years.
they take care of people.
But it also entraps you. They get stuck in low-end jobs. They don't start businesses like we do because they don't have to. The more people who choose that lifestyle, the fewer people are paying taxes.
And you think that's bad, folks. Here's where it gets even worse. If you are working for some of these companies, it takes bureaucracy to fire you. So imagine a woman goes on sick leave. She's allowed to go on sick leave, and then in the middle of having a baby, she says to her husband, I just love our new baby. But you know what? He needs a sibling. And they decide to get pregnant again. They got to continue to give her sick leave. And you're going, wait a minute, hold on. They can't give her paid sick leave after the fact. Well, try to fire her. According to some, in Sweden at least, you have to go through bureaucracy to get that person fired. It takes weeks, if not months, if not years, to actually fire them. But this was the part that I loved the most. It was about starting up your own business. And in Europe, you can't become an entrepreneur.
Regulations are another reason Europe doesn't grow. We have too many rules.
The astounding thing is that the Europeans have more.
European rules can make it almost impossible to fire a worker.
Why would you hire anybody when you are essentially responsible for them for the rest of your life?
What do you mean you can't fire them? If they don't show up, you can't fire them?
You have to go through an extremely bureaucratic sequence. The government will decide whether or not you are right in saying this person is not doing his job.
Imagine a world where the government decides on if a person's doing their job. Now, we may not have something like the European model, but we actually do have something similar to it, and it's called DEI. Think about it. If they had been able to implement DEI in the, Biden way, you couldn't fire a person of color or a person with a certain, sexual orientation, even if they were doing a horrible job. Just by firing them or wanting them out of their job because they didn't do it well, they could sue you, send you to court, force you to stay on the job. And if I remember correctly, isn't that exactly what's happening in the federal government? While Donald Trump's trying to fire all of these other layabouts who refuse to come into the office, there are court injunctions stopping him from doing it. They don't want to work there. They don't want to come in. But the government is pretty much assisting those people continue to get a paycheck, even if they don't want to work. DEI is exactly what would have happened if we didn't put an end to it. You couldn't fire a bad worker. Why? Because they would have been protected. Or as we like to call it, the complexion for the protection. Or the other way around.
Other regulations make entrepreneurship harder.
Here in America, we allow people to, let's say you have a pickup truck. You can put a sticker on it that says Bob the Carpenter, and now you have a small business. You can go out and start making money. In Europe, you have to wade through fees. You have to...
Yeah. I had to cut it short because it was getting a little long, and I didn't want to sort of inundate the whole show with it. But you should check it out. It's an amazing one. John Stossel did this about 7 months ago. And it's an interesting little bit where he talks about this. And people, again, I've heard this all over again. They're like, we need to be more like Europe. No, we don't. We don't. We need to stay more like the United States. That's all. You don't want any parts of what those folks are doing out there. Matty O says, I have personal information about the Norwegian healthcare system. If you ever want to hear about it, I do. He says, I stubbed my toe in Norway. I would fly home to get it checked out. It's also called unions. Horrible people get to stay all the time. Yep, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And this is a product of that. So people who don't understand exactly how other countries work, and they get this sort of romanticized version of it being told to them daily, not realizing that. Yeah, and again, I would say this, that what you just saw makes so much sense if you think about it. Why do so many people come to the United States? And that last part that he said, as I was talking about a couple of days ago, he put it very simplistic, but he's actually right. You can buy a pickup truck and put a sticker on the side of it, and you've got a business. And you can't do that in Europe and in some of these other places. They know that about the United States. And if anybody's ever visited Texas, like I said, if you had been from anywhere else in the world and you would come to San Antonio and you saw that and you would ask me, hey, can people just pop up a tent and they've got a business? And the answer is yes. And I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was just guys who were selling grass. I thought it was guys selling hays. I thought it was guys selling chickens, like the weird off-the-brand stuff. But when I saw the guy with the air conditioning tent, helping people waiting for no appointment needed, drive up, and he would fix the air conditioning unit in your car right there. No stopping at Pep Boys or any other. Just show up to Manuel, and Manuel would fix it right there in the street. And they would pay him. And again, I just said, you can just do that. How do you not come here? How do you not? If if that was the selling point, hey, do you do any crafts? Do you like making jewelry? Well, I happen to love making jewelry. Imagine a place where you can go out and just put out a table and sell it. Well, we have the bazaar all the time, but we have to pay a certain tax. Nothing. People would jump at the chance. Jump at the chance. I wonder what they make those folks do at the bazaar. I wonder what hoops they have to go through. Oh, of course, we have the bazaar. We sell everything. We have trinkets. This is gold adjacent. I don't know. What is that? Mississippi has more wealth than England. We're talking about the wage. If you were paying attention, clearly not paying attention. The average wage of Mississippi is higher that of those who live in the UK, those who live in the European Union. It's that simple. But if you weren't a dum-dum, you would know that. And instead of just jumping on the chat room in a knee-jerk way, you should have looked it up before you jumped in. So you need to try harder. This is why I call you lazy, why you get offended by it, because you know it's true. Okay? Don't let me have to do the work for you. That's why I'm here. I'm already done the work for you. All right? Sit back and relax and learn. That's all. That's all you have to do. Sit back, relax, have a cup of tea. Learning's happening for you. We'll be back. More news, more views. Let's get weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, bud. Gotten rid of that. But I was paying attention to something else. Anyway, it's that time. Let's get to it. It's Hollywood News with your correspondent, Reese on the radio. All the glitz, all the glamour. It's Hollywood News. All right, I got to get out of that real quick because I got to play the sound effect. You remember?
And the masters of the universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend.
You guys remember that TV series, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe? Well, it looks like that, of course, is about to be released as a film next year. Masters of the Universe stars some unknown kid. I don't know. He's done some movies. His name is Nicholas Galitzine. I've never heard him. He's playing He-Man. Morena Baccarin is playing the Sorceress. That was the love interest on Deadpool. Idris Elba is playing Man-at-Arms, and Alison Brie is playing Evil Lynn. If you're asking yourself, then who is playing Skeletor? Well, that is Oscar Award winner Jared Leto, who is going to be, and of course, he just came off of his stint in the Tron movie, Ares, that just came out. It comes out on the 10th. What am I saying? Yeah, it comes out on the 10th. So, yeah, he'll be next year in Masters of the Universe as Skeletor. So, I don't know. I'm probably going to watch it when it streams. I don't think I'll go to the theaters.
I'm going to the theater.
You're going to go to the theaters to watch it. Okay. Obviously a fan here. I almost feel like Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center was in college when He-Man was out in the mid-'80s. Right, Mark?
Mid-'80s, yes. Well, I was on the 5.5-year plan.
Okay.
So I started in 82. I was supposed to graduate in 86. Didn't really graduate till
okay, but would college kids have watched a show like He-Man? Even the stoner types, like would they have been a He-Man fan? Or would that have been like out of the realm of
wasn't
possibility?
me, I can tell you.
Yeah,
that.
you definitely. I know you didn't watch it.
I didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, I just wondered, but you do know who He-Man is, right?
No, I'm gonna Google it right now. That's how much. That's how I.
He is like
that's crazy.
He is like pop culture vapid. I know. I swear to you. When it's music, he knows it, but he doesn't know He-Man. I don't know. You're a music guy. I get it. I
never watched it. Although I didn't. I really, to be honest with you, most of my life is really. I only really watch sports and a little bit of news. That's
you know what? It's funny because you have not faltered there at all. You haven't wavered. That has been your thing. You didn't seem like
what
a
it
TV
was.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Now this is like 1982. I started college, and ESPN had just started. Just started.
Yeah.
And so we would sit there and we'd watch games we'd watch late basketball games at 11 o'clock at night, run out, get a pizza and some fries.
Yeah.
And watch games till like 12:30, 1 in the morning. So that's what we were doing.
If you were in college today, you would have been a guy who watched ESPN The Ocho, without a doubt. You're not going to know what that is. It's all right. I have to explain it to you another time because you haven't seen Dodgeball yet.
No, I haven't. Right. Who's the star in Dodgeball?
Ben Stiller and Vince Vaughn.
That sounds like a funny movie.
It is. It's one of my favorites of all time.
With those two guys, I'm going to be honest though. I like the old school guys on ESPN. I like the Bob Lees and I like Berman and that guy. These guys now, I'll try to be. They all think they're Letterman. They all think they're funny, and they're really not.
No, they're not.
And they don't give me a lot of give me some information if you're not funny.
Yeah.
The old crew, the old school guys just gave me the info, and that's what I like.
Exactly.
Like, okay, let's get on with the sports here. Well, if you're heading into
It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
All right. Well, Jason Wang is back. I'm assuming you wish to address what Mark was talking about. You know that wasn't towards you.
Oh, yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I wanted to respond because, I want to make it clear, if the Democrats had asked me to run as a working family party, I would have told them to basically go blank themselves. I mean, I think one thing that's been a little maybe frustrating, but I haven't gotten out ahead of is like, I'm not a lefty. People keep assuming that about me.
I don't think that. No. Again, Jason, he wasn't speaking about you at all. He made that clear. Yeah. No, he was talking about John leaving the Democrat Party and saying glowing things about the mayor of West Hartford, who Mark has a lot of issues with, and he's made them very known. He's public. He's very public about that. So he gives no credit for her. So he takes an affront to anyone who sings her praises in any way because he feels as though she abuses her power and she is very disrespectful to the people of West Hartford. And he's a diehard, and I'll tell you that. He's no affiliation, none whatsoever, which is what I love about Mark because you can't pigeonhole him. And what he cares about for him is that, one, the people, the constituents in West Hartford and pretty much all of Connecticut, he fights for them. And he doesn't play party lines. And I think that he's smart in doing that because when he sees Republicans screwing up, he's the first one to step up. And he is, he's much more, he's not as basic as the Democrats are screwing up the state. He calls out Republicans when they, play the uniparty role. So he's not a fan, and he makes it very known. So that wasn't even towards you.
Yeah, I just want people to understand, listen, I believe in conservative values. And the other thing is I wanted to say, I've spoken to many of the people, or I've reached out to many of the people who were evicted. They're not all easy to reach. I spoke to a couple of them, and they did confirm all of the conditions that were reported. They confirmed to me verbally. I spoke to one man who told me that his unit went from 775 to 1350 in a very short period of time. So I am with you, Mark. I mean, this really makes me mad. And
it does.
I go into those buildings with you, Mark.
And Jason, and you and I have had this discussion. One of the most important things about this, and I want to really, let me drive this home for you, because when Jason and I spoke about this before he came on air, one of the things that he talked about was how he works with a lot of people who are struggling. And a lot of them either deal with the addiction is primarily the case. And as he works with these folks, he has seen that one of the core reasons why a lot of folks have relapsed, who have gone on the right path to get sober or to get off drugs, the thing that they need most in their life is stability, right? They need a routine. Because if they lose hope, if they lose that routine, if they become isolated, and if they in any way feel like the world is against them, they always go back to using. And one of the things that Jason expressed to me was somebody who was unrelated to this story had gone back out and used again. And the first thing he said was, what made you go back out and use? And Jason, you told me was that he lost his housing. And you understood. You understood that as like, losing that gives somebody despair and says, what am I fighting for all of this for? I might as well go back to doing the stuff that got me in the situation that I'm in, because they lost hope.
Exactly, especially if it's a faceless slumlord from out of the state that does not care about you, does not care about your community. And this makes me viscerally mad, and I want to tell Mark and anybody else listening, I'm there with you. I mean, I hear the anger in his voice, and that is the anger that I felt when I read this information.
Yeah.
And the last point I would like to make is, you talked about a little bit about DEI, and that's another angle that we didn't get a chance to explore earlier, which is look at the names of the people who were evicted.
Yeah.
Look at the people who were evicted. They were people of color. Reese.
Yeah. And those are the people we're supposed to be. We're supposed to knee-jerk reaction, do everything we can to make sure our tax dollars go to support them and that they are the most protected people out there because they're so vulnerable. And to know that this is happening to those so-called vulnerable people that they're, sworn to protect, to watch that happen.
By the Democratic nominee.
Exactly. By the Democrat nominee shows exactly how ridiculous this, I guess the ignoring of this story is that it truly shows how rotted a lot of people in this party, and if I may say so, a lot of people in the media are, that they would not want to bring attention to this and make it right.
It really, I think, just shows how broken that idea of, that performative DEI. I'm not against diversity. Of course, I want diversity. I want people of all, backgrounds to succeed in this country. And we want to give people the means for them to raise themselves up, to build a better life for themselves. But performative DEI is a different issue, and that's what we are talking about here.
Yeah.
This is performative DEI. This is picking somebody who has harmed the communities of color.
Yeah.
And even just taking race out of it, just harmed marginalized individuals. And that makes me viscerally angry. And I'm with you, Mark. And, that's really what I wanted to say. It really annoys. It really just makes me upset. And
It's
I think
okay.
other people should be upset. I think when people hear about the facts of this case, they should be upset.
Well, I'm glad that you called back and got a chance to get that off your chest. Jason Wang, running for town council in West Hartford. Thank you very much, sir, for calling back.
Thanks, Reese.
You got it. And like I said, we're not letting this story go. As every one of the stories that we cover, we cover them until they're done, until they're over with, and we put them in our back pocket and move on. We'll talk about that some more. What else do I have in store for today? I think I had some other stuff I need to get into. Oh, Chris Cuomo and Eric Trump. They had a back and forth, and what was so good about this exchange was what Eric Trump, he succinctly broke down this nonsense about political retribution against Donald Trump's enemies. I want to play that for you in a little bit. And also, this is pretty bad. It didn't get a lot of attention, but I want to draw some attention to it. Ibram X. Kendi is back. And this should really make a lot of people angry, what he said. What the hell? Let me play it.
I don't think white people worldwide have really reckoned with how much their own personal identity is shaped by constructions of whiteness, and how much.
I'm sorry. Every time I listen to some of these so-called black intellectuals, they don't.
6561.
Oops, I'm sorry. I don't know what the heck that was. That was weird. And some of these so-called black intellectuals, why is it that they don't make sense?
I don't think white people worldwide have really reckoned with how much their own personal identity is shaped by constructions of whiteness, and how much that construction of whiteness prevents white people from connecting to humanity.
I listen to that and I just go, boy, I could say so many things. I can say so many things to counter that. Wendy said, wait, what? Yes, exactly, Wendy. That's okay. I could say the same thing, but I won't. Like, I can say the most bigoted, ignorant thing in the world. The worst part is that when I say it, I would be telling the truth. If I were anything like ex-Ibram Kendi, I could say what he just said and pose it towards a group of people. I would be 100% accurate. And I'm almost certain, right here on this computer, I am certain, and I have 200 videos to back up that claim, talking about someone's connection with humanity. Huh? You want to talk about somebody's connection with humanity? You want to talk about a Waterbury double murder? Huh? Do you want to talk about that? I mean, I can go on and on and on. If I really, really wanted to be cruel and mean, I would make these liberals' heads explode if I were to say half the stuff that Ibram Kendi just said. I would. They would be screaming. They would be picketing outside of WTIC studios. All of them. All of them. I laugh because it's ignorant. It's ignorant and it's stupid. It is. I mean, that's the reason why I bring attention to it, as I do. Like I said, we're going to reach out to Miss Lisa Lazarus. We'll see whether or not she'll come on the program, or at least she'll give us a statement about what we've learned about these slumlords and about these conditions of squalor. And if there's anybody in the Democrat Party in West Hartford, if you want to make a statement, we'd appreciate it. We'd love to understand how your candidate for town council would do this to these vulnerable people. Somebody should step up and say something. I mean, at least come out and say that it, is categorically untrue. Say that you find it reprehensible. Don't try to do this nonsense about calling us homophobes or any of that other nonsense, or we're racist and bigoted because we don't want illegals. Let's address this big giant elephant in the room that allows people to live with roaches crawling in their children's ear, where they can't leave food anywhere because it's going to get eaten up by rats and other rodents. Your friends, your neighbors, allowing them to live like that. And then probably, and that's the part that makes me laugh, is then to turn around and start screaming about institutional racism, or talk about how there's no compassion for vulnerable folks. I'd really love to see you step up and explain that one to me, because there's some people right in your backyard that you're like just throwing away. I find that interesting. Well, we are where we are. We are where we are. All right, we'll look up some other news and then wrap this puppy up. Is it Wednesday today, Roland? Is it only Wednesday?
Yep.
I feel like it was Thursday already. I feel like it was Thursday for some odd reason. Why am I'm not even in a rush for the week to go that fast. Like I wasn't even rushing. Anyway, let me see. When we come back, Chris Cuomo, Eric Trump, and I had one more that I know I needed to wrap up the day with. And for some odd reason, all of my paperwork is everywhere. Oh, yeah, we got what had happened was. How did I forget that? I totally forgot that. What had happened was, if you forgot the opening monologue, we'll talk about that as well. And I think I got everything in front of me. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. We're going to get weather and traffic coming up. And this is, notable achievements, projects. Oh, you know what? Damn it. How did I forget this, Roland? Wasn't yesterday the Connecticut Broadcasting Awards?
I don't know.
It had to have been. It was on my calendar.
Oh, maybe it was.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about it.
You haven't heard anything about it? Why haven't we found out? I do remember. Yes, it was yesterday. I'm positive it was yesterday. And I know that we had John Silva and we had Morgan Cunningham were both nominated for a Connecticut Broadcasting Award. Now, I'm not trying to bring up, any bad, news if they didn't end up winning, but I'm hoping that they did. Maybe John Silva will let us know.
They didn't win.
He didn't. Damn it.
No, unfortunately, they didn't win.
Who won?
The only Odyssey was shut out except TIC FM. The FM won Station of the Year.
They did win Station of the Year. Well, what the hell? We'll give them a round of applause for that. Why not? They're awesome. Is that the only out of all of our sister stations that won?
Yeah,
they were the only ones.
That we won last night. Yeah.
Station of the Year.
NPR had a big night at the award.
Oh, you know what that was like. You know why that was. They lost their funding.
Listen, I'm not going to criticize anything. It was a great night. A lot of really talented people went into the hall, and
you did go?
Won. Yeah, I was there. That's where I was.
Oh, okay. That's what. Okay, that's what I wanted to know is whether or not you went. Okay. Did you have fun though?
Yeah, I had a great time.
Okay.
Last year was great. This year was great, and it was a long period where they didn't do the ceremony.
Oh,
but they're back on track every year again. So it's a very enjoyable night.
Well, congratulations to our sister station WTIC.
There you go.
It's nice to bring home something.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I said to Ryan, the program, I said, Ryan, do we have a trophy case to put that in? And he goes, no. So I don't know this, and it weighed a lot. The award weighed a lot.
No doubt. Okay, I can't wait to see it now.
Yeah, I just ask Sal. He'll get it over to you.
That's okay. I'll take a picture of it and I'll put my finger over the FM.
Oh, there you go. That works too.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
I still don't know what had happened was.
What had happened was.
It's What Had Happened Was, brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download it today so you can find out what had happened was. In the news today, we mentioned that Dolly Parton is doing okay. You may have heard that also at the top of the hour. Ned Lamont says that Zohran Mamdani is going to cripple Wall Street, or he could as well. Greta Thunberg, I almost got to Greta and Suster. Greta Thunberg is in the news making stupid comments and posting stupid pictures. Also, we had as a guest on the program Jason Wang, who came back to the show, and John Lyons talking about Lisa Lazarus and her slumlord real estate dealings that she's doing in and around Hartford, costing people their homes that they're renting month to month. And we also talked about the opening monologue, which you should check out by downloading the Odyssey app. And this one is, your outrage is fueled by the acknowledgement of your insignificance. Also, we talked about paying taxes for illegals when we know that they just got here. How could they possibly be contributing? Because they seem to get everything for free. How could they possibly be contributing? It just didn't add up. We'll talk about that as well. So like I said, download the Odyssey app. If you can't download the Odyssey app, you can always go to WTIC.com, or you can go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com, and you can check out the program. Don't forget, also check out the Substack on ReeseOnTheRadio.com. Make sure that you subscribe. It's for free, and that article comes out every Sunday. This week's article is about about the government shutdown. It's actually pretty good, if I do say so myself. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey, let me get a shout out to Ben Lewis in West Hartford. If this is true, from the story that I'm hearing, apparently there are some people who are stealing signs all over West Hartford. And I want to say this to anybody listening who knows of those who are taking signs of conservatives off of lawns or trying to get rid of them. Let me just say something that people need to understand. And I want to say it to both the people taking the signs who validate having these signs taken of conservatives, who cheer them on, and those who are having their signs taken away, and those who think it is abhorrent and disgusting. I want to say the same thing to you both on different sides of the aisle, okay? When you take the signs off the lawn or off the street corner, whoever's taking them is showing their fear that the person they're removing is resonating. That is a sheer sign of fear that people may know that there's an alternative. That's the reason why that happens. It's that simple. If they didn't think you had a chance in hell, they wouldn't even bother. But because they are concerned that some people might say, hey, I don't like what this side is doing, they might choose you. That's all. It's that simple. So, just put another sign up. They'll come and take them again. So, it's a constant. You may have heard Dave Mager talking about the indictment, I should say, of James Comey. And you may have heard the reporter from CBS News suggesting that this is retribution, that this is a political witch hunt going after James Comey. As I told you, they're going after James Comey for a processing crime. I said it's absolutely insignificant. I don't care about the James Comey case. There's no big fish here. It's a big, lanky dodo bird. It's not important. Did you see the people over in Arlington? Did you see them over at the courtroom or the courthouse where you had to go plead not guilty and then go home? Nobody showed up because nobody cared. But if you really want to talk about political retribution, I want to play this for you. Chris Cuomo talking to Eric Trump. And Chris Cuomo is of the ilk that says, isn't your father going after his political enemies here? Well, Eric, unscripted, had an answer. And he laid it out, as we like to say in the hip-hop world, freestyle.
I'm asking you questions about whether or not, if something is wrong, it is also wrong to do the same thing when you get back in power, which certainly happened the first time the administration came in. You went right after Biden. And I don't mean you weren't part of the administration. I'll get to you in a second in terms of what's going on right now. But if you think I'm playing coy, you don't know me as well as you should.
Chris,
I'm not playing coy. I know what happened to me.
Chris,
I'm saying that
and it was
what is
horrible
happening now looks like what was done to you. That's why I'm asking the question.
Did we raid Biden's home? Did we try and bankrupt Biden? Did they come after us? Did we weaponize every AG and DA, against Biden? Did we do that against Hunter Biden, who had a laptop from hell, pictures of cocaine, illicit drug use, prostitution? Did we do that? Did we make up a dirty dossier about Biden? Did they try and destroy Biden's marriage? Was any of that true? I mean, did we make up stories that Biden had secret servers in the basement of his home communicating with the Kremlin in Russia? Did we strip Biden off the ballot of multiple states? Did we take Biden off of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and try and silence his voice so he couldn't communicate? Did we put Biden in a courtroom every single day? 91 felony counts that have all been overturned for my father now, right? For nonsense, to try and keep him off of a campaign trail and to try and destroy his life. Did we do any of that?
The answer is no. You got one case with Comey, just one. What Comey did was provable and a lie, and you know it. So trying to say, the sky is falling, Comey got an indictment. Please. Half, this is barely a smidgen of sort of payback. I don't know about you, but there are people out there, and I know it. There are so many people out there, and you know who they are in MAGA world. They try to shame us, but we don't care. There are people out there that say that Donald Trump isn't getting these folks enough. They say we're not doing enough. No. They want everybody locked up. They want Nancy Pelosi locked up. They want Adam Schiff locked up. They want Chuck Schumer locked up. They want to put a sombrero on Hakeem Jeffries every given day. You talk about retribution, you haven't seen anything yet talk about asking these people what they want. They're nowhere near satisfied. Barely even cheered on the indictment of Comey. They didn't care. Lev, that's right. 34 guilty felonies of the same thing, by the way. 34 guilty felonies. That's right. Absolutely. They got him. Mug shot him. Oh, no. And Real shot him. Real shot him. All of that. You ain't get nothing that you gave yet. Nothing. So again, and this is the part I keep trying to tell conservatives. I'm going to say it again. All of you, please listen to my voice. When they say it to you, when they say, well, Donald Trump is using the federal government against them, and you say, yes, more. When they come at you and they say, but Donald Trump is going after his political enemies. Not enough. And when they lose it and they start screaming, I was like, I don't care what you're screaming about. We won. And as Barack Obama says, election have consequences, and we won. Yeah, that's what it's going to be like. That's what it's going to be like. So take yours. We had to take it. We had to deal with it. And everything that we said, everything that we were telling you was going on, you told us was conspiracy. You called this QAnon. You called this everything. And now it's coming back on you. And with James Comey, you guys are actually losing your collective minds over Lurch, this bozo, this awkward Taylor Swift listening bozo. This is the person, this is the hill you want to climb and die on? Shut up. Nobody's paying attention to this dude's a clown. James Comey is a clown. Everything he did was like right in front of everybody. You don't even like him either. Remember, this is also the same clown that kept Hillary Clinton from getting in the White House. Remember? Remember how much you hated this guy? And it shows exactly how flippant you folks are. Because in one breath, James Comey, he ended Hillary Clinton's chances to become the president. How dare he do that? He put his finger on the scale. Then he's indicted, and Donald Trump is awful. Like, you can't even figure which lane you're in. Like, figure yourselves out. Nobody cares. I don't mind. Look, I want all of you in disarray. I want you folks losing your collective minds. I want you screaming, pull all your hair out. Get on the floor, stomp your feet, throw a tantrum. God bless you. Please do whatever you got to do. Whatever you got to do. Scream, holler, cry in your pillow. More and more tears. Call us all the names in the book. Nobody cares. You have no voice. You're silent. Like you're a deaf mute. All we hear is this. That's all I hear, buddy. That's all I hear. None at all. Nobody cares. That's all. Don't care. What's up, Wall Street?
Hi. You know, when James Comey got fired by Trump in 2017, you should have fired him on the first day. That was a huge mistake.
I thought that was exactly what was going to happen, too.
Yeah, he thought he could rehabilitate him. Trump always had this feeling he could rehabilitate the people that were out to get him, and he was so wrong about that.
Do you think that? Wait a minute, hold on that front, because Robert F. Kennedy said something interesting. He was on a podcast, on this hip hop podcast one day. You should look it up too. It's really, really good. But Robert F. Kennedy was on this hip hop. It was something called Math Hoffa. A podcast, and they usually just do hip-hop on it, but Robert Kennedy went on it, and he said that Donald Trump told him when he was on the campaign trail that when he first got into office, he said not only was he so surprised that he had won, but he really didn't know what he was supposed to do when he got into Washington, so he listened to all of the swamp. So everybody that he hired were people who someone else had vouched for. If he had known better, like he knows now, he would have never taken their advice, but he didn't know. So, and that's, I think, the reason why Comey stayed, because people were like, no, he's a good guy. And, of course, he got bitten.
Yeah, you're right about that, 100%. You just summed it up perfectly. I would have said the same thing. Mm. But the thing I wanted to say about Comey, it wasn't long after he got fired the same year, University of Connecticut found $125,000 in their budget, they're always saying they need more money. $125,000. He went to UConn campus, I think the Jorgensen Auditorium one evening, and for about an hour he got $125,000 to pat himself on the back. And you'd say, well, wow, that's outrageous. Well, about a year earlier, Hillary Clinton, they paid her $250,000 to speak at the Jorgensen Auditorium. So anytime you hear about UConn crying for money, just bring those two things up. Well, you $375,000 for those two corrupt people, you know.
Again, listen, the circuit is crazy to pay these folks, but they pay them. I don't know why.
University of Connecticut.
Yeah,
they have a lot of money. Hey,
yeah,
you
go ahead.
lost that bet with me last week.
What was the bet?
You said that the budget was going to be resolved by the end of the weekend. And
Right. The what's it? Damn you! I did say I said we weren't going to get until Monday, and here we are Wednesday, and it's still closed down. I do. You know what?
You want to double down on the bet? You want to double down on the bet?
Okay, fine. What's the next deadline?
Well, you call heads or tails.
Okay, I will call. Okay, I will call it. I say that we get back open before the next payday for federal workers, which should be, I think, a week.
The 17th.
The 17th. Yes. I think before payday, because remember, if nobody gets paid, forget about it. Democrats are sunk if they avoid that paycheck. So I'm going to go
right now. Before that date occurs, you heard about Trump may suddenly drop what he's doing and head to Egypt to sign the peace agreement with Hamas and get the hostages out.
I would do that.
I'm very worried about him going there.
Well, remember we were
assassinations.
We were worried about him last time. I think. Well, you know what? I'm never ever going to stop being worried about him, to be honest with you. But yeah, I every time he travels. In fact, the last travel he did to the UK, I was concerned. I was like, why am I so worried every time he gets on the damn plane? But
well, you know, I think you can check this out on YouTube. I haven't checked lately. I was watching on live TV, I think CBS, back in 1980, Anwar Sadat had just made that big peace agreement with Israel. You know, it was the big thing with Carter. And he was in Egypt outside the palace or whatever. He was outside, armed guards. He was at this big, long table with a canopy over it on live TV. And, you know, he's signing everything. Everybody was applauding. And what happened all of a sudden? A convoy of military jeeps and stuff racing up with machine guns, and they wiped out everybody, and that's how he got assassinated. Right on live TV. You know, it was over the peace agreement with Israel. This was 1980.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the security is like in Egypt. I mean, they took out dozens of people.
I expect this detail. Listen, at this particular point, as far as when it comes to Secret Service and the security detail of the President of the United States, the way that they colossally screwed up last year in July, I would imagine like this is going to be probably the most protected detail ever in history, because we know there's an active threat against this guy. So I seriously doubt it. But, you know, like I said, I get nervous every time he gets on the plane, so I'm with you. Especially this, because
Osama bin Laden's right-hand man was at the tip of that assassination on Sadat. He was one of the ISIS or whatever. He was right there. He was part of the hit team.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay. All right. Thank you, buddy.
Do a little research on that.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. All right. We got to get up out of here. Tomorrow we got more news and more views than you can shake a stick at. That's an interesting show. And had a certain, flair to it. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. We'll have some audio from that Antifa summit that Donald Trump was having today. Let's get to Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. Good night, sir.
Bill, if you're traveling 8 southbound, we've got some emergency road work going on in Naugatuck between exit 26 and 25B. The right lane is out there, so you want to stay to the left with that.
All right, sir.
All right, good enough.
Parkway, look for delays approaching
send me a text. Let me know how that goes. All right.
I already sent you a text, but I'm gonna call him when I get out of here.
Yeah, they should be able to do it. You should be fine.
Mark Christopher with a light 100.5 commuter guide.
WTIC weather.
He was doing light 105.
Clear, breezy, and chillier tonight with a low.
Oh well, I took it.
Head tomorrow will be breezy.
All right,
and
I'll see you when you're
like fall.
Yes, sir.
Clear and cold tomorrow night, low 32.
All right, everybody. Hey, by the way, someone was asking me in the chat room. So this is kind of between us so you can know this. So somebody was in the chat room and sent me a message and said, it's like, hey, what's going on, with the top of the news hour? And as I've tried to explain this before, I know this is probably falling on deaf ears, but it is important that you understand this. I wouldn't tell you this if it weren't true. So I guess our arrangement or our agreement as the top of the hour news, we get our feed from CBS. You might know that we play some audio from CBS News because they're out in the field, especially if we're covering national news. And you always hear CBS News this, CBS News that. And a lot of people always say, it's like, Reese, it's so left-leaning, blah, blah, blah. Look, CBS News is until now. And you might have noticed yesterday when I was doing headlines, I mentioned Barry Weiss of the Free Press, and the Free Press being purchased by Paramount for $150 million, and Barry Weiss being named the editor-in-chief at CBS News. So she just got that job. And Barry Weiss, and go look her up, she is a very down-the-middle, honest journalist. She did, and I might even play it tomorrow, she did this interview with this guy at Harvard University who was talking about violence with police. And that's kind of been her shtick now, is talking about the news or doing it from an angle of truth and honesty. She's gotten sick and tired of the left-leaning and the lying news. She's been embarrassed as a news anchor for a long time. She's trying to get credibility back to the offices of CBS News. So give it a little while. We'll see what happens. If CBS News and her job as editor-in-chief is going to mean anything, you're going to see it in the work product. So stand by. Just be patient. I promise you changes are coming on the CBS angle, and you'll see it. All right, you guys have a good night. I love you guys. Be good to each other.